Alrighty, so for week 7, we're going to cover a topic that is like everything being impacted by AI, but which is SEO. So if you've never heard this term, search engine optimization, okay, so you could do what is SEO, okay, if you want. And it really is the process of when you're building a site, you want to make that site as friendly to both a search engine, right? And then also understand the way you optimize your content to get it ranked well, right? But then also now we're thinking about this. So this was a traditional, this is how we did it originally, was to solely focus on like, how do I make that search engine rank this well? And it was a combination of just organic content, right? And then also um, how we had backlinks, how we had reviews. Like a very great way to increase the search engine optimization was to make have places that read reviews if they did a good review of your product. Now, this is also where they game the system. But, coming back to this. So that traditional CEO, right, is moving, right? In the we are moving from world of blue links, which is the idea of when you do a search, right? And you get all of these different links and sponsored links. So, by the way, if you haven't noticed, like if I search best hiking boots, I think that's the one that was coming up, right? We think about, okay, we get these sponsored, look how many are sponsored, right? Because they know that being at the top of the search engine, of course, is beneficial to them. You can actually calculate per position how important that is. So now when we think about, okay, how is AI affecting this? I mean, in this case, instead of having multi things you could look at, AI is going to give you an answer, and if your product can be included somewhere in that answer. Now, I'm noticing this is actually getting better with AI too, generative AI, to where when I want to do a research, it'll give me more than one option. But even that, at the most, I get 3 different options. So, thinking about like, and then how this content is generated. So, what I love about this video, and it took me a little while, but I actually was really glad to find it, talks about AI search results in 2016. Now, I will say the one thing about this video I don't like, but this is also the nature of things, is that there's some product in here that this YouTuber, actually, I think it's part of their company, right? So you just kind of have to wave your hand a little bit at that. But first, so anyway, you're going to watch this. So in your lectures, you're going to set up a folder named CEO and AI, okay, and lowercase dashes here. And then in that folder, you create a README, capital README, no spaces, .md. And so in here, you're going to go through and take some notes. Now, in this case, be specific with your Markdown. We've used Markdown before, so the better, make sure you have headings. But I've also given you a commit log, right, to go through. So when you are watching the video now, in this case, we could actually go look at, and I definitely like to go to YouTube, right? So this is an 18-minute video. So you have 3 commits you need to do. So when they finish talking about the shift from CEO to AI search, right? GEO, that's when you want to have made sure you took some notes and then you commit, right? Same thing here and the same thing here. What I loved about this video is I had an understanding and have done some CEO, but it was great to improve or add to my existing knowledge base because I knew it was changing, but it was great to hear about how it was changing. So first do those commits. And then actually, let's do some real world scavenger hunt, because part of what you're going to learn about in here is structured data. The way because how we read, how humans read websites are important. How bots or robots read, and there's this term called a robot.txt file that is really important to websites. And so you have to both optimize for the way humans do, of course, and the way machines do. So when you get exposed to this structured data, even if you don't have, and they actually go over Google's link here, to go look at that. But you can just look at a website and see their structured data, right? Choose one of these, right? And like identify a section that information is organized for a robot to read, right? So think about that as well. So then in your notes, give the URL, right? And describe a piece of information they've highlighted that you feel is really organized to help the machines do well. Okay, so this is how the commits go, right? How the grading goes, the commits, the scavenger hunt, and then the actual commits, the three that you have along the way. Okay, and then you submit your URL. So again, there you're getting introduced to two concepts, which is traditional SEO, right? He talks about that. Surfer Academy is the YouTuber here, or the channel name, right? And then we say, okay, how is it changing? So it is both it being introduced to, but also extending the knowledge of traditional as it's being impacted by AI. Really important topic for anybody building commercial sites is to think about these things because the more, again, I'll repeat myself here, but the further up this list you can be, right? And again, this is where Google makes a lot of its money is in these sponsored results. But of course, if you don't have to pay Google and you come up high on this list, that really helps. But how now is that impacted by the fact that AI is going to give you a more condensed answer? How do you take advantage of that where possible? All right. We'll talk to you on the next one.